stopped in, and we have some exciting things lined up tonight, and want to continue in the conversation. And want you to have now. Why, if you're joining on, drop in the comment one of the top tips you would say from your view of important for marriage to work.
Okay.
What are some things that you feel that you would share that would make a marriage last for 25 years or longer? And it doesn't have, like I said, this show is not just geared to just married people. That's not, everybody can pick up something from these things. So drop that in the comments, and we're going to get ready to get into this conversation.
Because marriage is a relationship.
Marriage is
some of the tools that we use can be used in any relationship.
Either way, communication.
Whether it's with siblings, whether it's with coworkers, whether it's even for those of you that are dating. So when we talk about how we had to learn to effectively communicate, that is communication. That's usually the first top. Yep. Top. What else? Trust. Yep. Trust and faithfulness. Absolutely. Hello, Miss Stephanie. Respect. Absolutely. And communication is usually at the top, right?
Yeah, communication for sure.
That's number one.
So we want to jump right in and have organic conversation. Y'all keep those. Thank you for your comments, and compromise. That's a big one.
Actually liking the person. Compromising. It's a 50-50. It's definitely not just one-sided, right? It's
absolutely.
A partnership.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those are things that we found out on this journey, because, as we share tonight, it does not mean or suggest that we didn't have any turbulence. But it's just, we're sharing how we work through it. What's up, Elder Norma? How are you?
Good evening. And by the way, to make sure, disclaimer, we're not saying these are the only answers and that this is, a solid blueprint. It's just, if you apply what we're sharing, it works for us. Of course, some things you may have to tweak based on you and your relationship. But I will say some of these things are common things that you can definitely glean from. So absolutely. 25 years, we made it last. So I believe we got a little something to say.
A little something to say.
What's
up, my brother, Pastor Teray? God bless you, sir. God bless you. Thanks for joining us. So we're going to get right into the conversation tonight, how to make your marriage last. And we know in this day and time, when it comes to commitment, and y'all know we just swing from the hip, we're going to be very transparent and just jump right in there.
Yeah.
And like we said, before you get to the place of the union, I always like to challenge people with their core values. You got to know what you believe in. You got to know what you stand for. And like that old saying goes, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So a lot of times, you
it's like, 25 years later.
A lot of times, when you're navigating through who you are, it sometimes hinder your progression as a stable unit with your spouse. So everything that we're saying tonight is biblically based. So if you don't really have respect for the word of God, this probably ain't gonna mean too much to you. But we believe that all things that God has given unto us is for us to profit and be whole in life and godliness. And that's one of our slogans or our statements that we like to dive in. So when I remember when we first started, we're going to share some pictures later on. I was trying to get like snippets from our wedding, y'all, so we could show to you all. But this is how long it was. We had a VCR.
Oh my God.
And you can't find a VCR right now.
Well, I think in the pawn shops, right?
Yeah, somebody told me that. And I didn't, I'm like,
I don't know. I thought pawn shops was an outdated thing. Do people pawn things?
No, they still do. But here's the thing.
Pawn? Okay.
I looked on Amazon because Amazon has everything. They had VCRs, but VCRs like $500 now.
Yeah. That's like a record.
We're not doing
I want a record player, by the way.
We're not. Yeah, I saw that today. We're not doing that. No $500 for no VCR. But anyway, some highlights from our wedding that I wanted to share with you all. So, what was the highlight of our wedding for you? What was that moment?
Ooh.
I think I know, but
what you gonna say? You singing to me?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
That was so interesting enough. Most everybody know he sings, right? And so I pretty much made an assumption that okay, he's probably gonna sing, but he kept saying no, I don't want to sing. I forget what reasons you gave me, but you're
I
like,
was saying
nah.
because everybody expecting.
Oh, right,
that, so
because everybody's gonna expect me to
Mhm.
sing, and I just want to come in and whatever, what have you. So I said, okay, no problem. I was good with it. It's already a lot of nerves that day and a lot of emotions, and it's a big day. So I didn't expect that he was going to sing. Well, lo and behold, when they opened the door for me to make my entry, he was singing. And not only was he singing like just any song, he actually wrote a song. So now the only thing is I think everyone was waiting for me to just like bawl my eyes out. It was super emotional, but the thing about it is I'd cried so much the night before that the day of I was a little bit more composed, but I was very much moved and touched by it. At the rehearsal dinner and after the rehearsal, it was just, I shared some speeches and just for the people that were in the room, just pouring out my heart of what this moment meant to me. And then that night in my parents' house, we did the whole, we were very traditional. So we weren't living together. I was at home with my mom, my parents. So I went back home and he stayed in his place. So the whole, you don't see the bride until the day of. And so I remember that night just thanking God for just answered prayer and just, just the love that was already felt. And, just, wow, this is really happening, and a little nerves at the same time. And so, yeah. So anyway, that was my moment. You singing to me as I walked down the aisle. Yeah, that was pretty special.
And I thought that would be special. So we did.
Well, what about you? What was your most highlighted moment on that day?
I think our highlighted moment, y'all, for me. So we got married. It wasn't really the wedding, but we got married and we were getting ready to go on our honeymoon. So we had to go on the honeymoon and I forgot my ID.
Oh, that's your sentimental moment.
Well, I didn't know it was a sentimental moment, but it's like, okay.
No, that is memorable. Wait, before you go.
Wait, no, because we had rented this.
Before you get to the honeymoon, like on the way, what about the wedding?
Okay,
part?
So the wedding.
Yeah.
A sentimental moment. I think when we did communion together. I think that was special to me. We did communion, and Chad was on here last week. Man, Chad.
Hey, Mama Carol. I'm sorry, I just saw her, Mama Carol.
Hey, Carol.
Hey.
Chad almost messed up our wedding because he sang the stank out of I don't know if y'all ever heard the song. It was The Blood by Florida Mass. And folk went to, hollering, and we were going to have church because he did it that good. Chad is an awesome singer, but you could just feel the glory of God in there. And I'm not just saying that, you really could. So I think that was my special moment when he did, we did communion and Chad did, It Was the Blood. And, Chad's got that voice, it was the blood. And it was just, people was trying to hold it together because, we was like, don't y'all start bucking up in this wedding night. Sit down. Just hold your praise. Like Shirley C said, hold your mule.
Yeah. And also, honestly, I got to give just props and shout out to, Pastor Willie C. Barnes and Mother Anita Barnes. Our wedding was at Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, Eden River, Florida, where love makes a difference. But I tell you, just how he conducted. I don't know. I've seen Dad conduct a lot of weddings, Pastor Barnes, but I felt like ours just had a special touch to it. The way, the prayer that we did and just the presence of them and just our family and friends that were there that day. Is that the picture? So they actually can see this?
Yeah, they can see.
Look how oh my Lord. We look like,
well, I look the same.
We're like 16 years old.
I look the same. I don't know what Val is talking about, but I just got different hair.
24. You were what, 29?
20-something.
29 maybe. You got me about 4 years. Yeah. Trying to do the math here. But yeah, it was just the atmosphere was just special. The wedding party. Just shout out to everybody. I don't want to start naming everybody. Just our parents were there. It was just very special. Of course, lots of family. And everyone that just was dear to our hearts. And I know there were some people, you still might be sour, y'all. I'm sorry we couldn't invite everybody. So I know people were upset that some people didn't get an invitation. It just is what it is, y'all. But we love you anyway.
And some of our
people
friends
got nerve to ask you, why didn't I get an invitation? I'm
yeah,
like,
some of our friends are upset because our wedding, y'all, was on Classic Weekend
that particular year.
And folk were like, what is wrong with y'all having your wedding? My sister Angel, she's not on here tonight. She's like, Andre Neal, because Angel always call my whole name. Andre Neal, why you having your wedding on Classic Weekend?
I forgot.
So I'm like, well, I don't go to the Classic. So it was really
it was me fire. Of course, me fire was in the house. Yeah, some of them were in the wedding. Yeah. I think Ronnie just had Imani, or was she pregnant? How did that go? She couldn't be in it, but yeah, me fire was in the house. Absolutely, you know they were in the house, and that's our okay. So all the pictures, yay!
Wait a minute, that wasn't right. It didn't do right. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Is that a video?
Well, these were our rings, guys. And this is a funny story because when we got engaged, I didn't have a ring. Well, I gave you a ring, and we argue about this all the time, y'all.
The man don't get the ring for the engagement.
No, when you engage, you're supposed to give you a ring.
You give me a ring.
Right, that's what I'm saying. No, I mean, I didn't have the ring to give to you.
Oh, when you officially.
Yeah, I didn't have the ring to give to you. But here's the funny story, y'all. And we argue about this all the time because I had written Val a poem. I read her poem and I gave her a ring and I call it a promise ring. And so I said, girl, we was engaged from then. And she argued this day, like, no, that was no engagement. I'm like, whatever. That was, and I wish we had, because she still has it.
I have.
Val is very sentimental. She's got like, I did this poem and put it in a frame. And I gave her like a little ring with a heart on it from the Magical Mall. Y'all know the Magical Mall? And so I gave her the ring and I was like, we're promised. Now tell me, promise is the same thing. But she said I didn't give her an engagement. So, and then funny story, then we're going to get into our topics tonight. So at this time, y'all, in the 90s, platinum was really trendy. Everybody was doing platinum. So we thought, what's up, Torres? We thought we wanted platinum. That's what we thought.
Oh, my Lord.
But we didn't know how much platinum cost. So we went to the ring counter and the lady pulled out the platinum. Like, how much? What? That ring was for us, it was expensive. We would have to share it. We would have to get one and wear it like at different times. It was so expensive. So the lady said, I tell you what, it's almost exactly like platinum, but it's white gold. So we agreed to do the white gold, and that's how we got the rings that you all see, that you all saw. It was the white gold, and so that's how we.
Hey, when you're young and starting out, everything's a starter moment. Start a house, start rings.
So we
got careers.
We got the platinum look. We got the platinum look, but to God be the glory. We made it through that, and there was just some funny times in those marriage bliss, and then you start journeying, and after the ceremony is over, after all the people gone and we got tons of gifts, y'all, and after all that stuff is over, then you got to live with one another, and this is when the testing starts.
But before you get to the testing, you want to quickly tell about what you was about to say about the going on the honeymoon, forgetting your driver's license.
So we went. We were getting ready to take a plane because we went to, at that time, y'all. All this stuff is probably outdated and old now. Nobody wants to go there. I don't even know where people go for honeymoons now.
Oh, it's
but we went to this place called. Oh yeah, right.
Because weddings happen out of the country now.
Yeah, everybody's doing. And everybody goes to
weddings.
What's the place? Bowie. No, not
Dubai.
Dubai. Everybody's going to Dubai. I don't know. Everybody. Yeah. But here's the thing. So our wedding was at the Poconos Honeymoon. The whole honeymoon was at Poconos Mountain, right? What the place called?
Poconos.
So this was like a resort, and it was like
champagne.
The champagne towers. Funny story, y'all. Funny story. So Val and I, we stayed. It was a villa. It was a really nice place. Very nice. It had like upstairs. It was like your own little apartment, and so. We trying to be romantic, and so I'm gonna do the hot tub thing. So I'm fixing the hot tub. Now the people in the lobby, when we were getting up there, they say don't put that much bubble bath in the stuff. right?
Yeah.
They said, don't just the thing, and they even had a sign say, just put a little bit. Now, y'all, the way this, I wish I had a picture of the tower, because it was like when you walk in the villa, it was a huge champagne glass that overlooked the downstairs, and it was like open, and it sat over the fireplace. So I'm just having a field day. I mean, I'm putting it in there because the thing wasn't making no bubble. I'm like, put this stuff. You need some. Do this stuff cheap. It ain't working. So not knowing, so I got ready to step over in the thing. I think you would like pinning your hair up or something. I don't know, but Val hadn't quite come in yet. Y'all, I hit the bottom of that glass, and the soap that I squirt in there, I almost slid right out that glass on the bottom level. So I had to catch and hold on. So Val's like, what is going on? And I put too much soap in the thing. I put too much soap in it.
Was coming.
Yeah, bubbles was all down there. I mean, we totally messed up them folks' champagne glass, but
it actually turned into a real comedy show.
Yeah, we laughed about it. It was a memorable moment, but
I mean, the whole room, because remember the lights, the stuff. Yeah, it was like,
it was real different.
It was.
We have to tell y'all about that another time, because it's real different. The stuff that they had in there. But anywho, those were funny stories through our marriage, the wedding, and all those things that are memorable to us.
His memorable part was he on the way to the airport. We get to the airport, you all, and he realized he forgot his driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
He put it somewhere. I don't know how that happened. Mind you, you're talking about coming from like Rosemont area.
Yeah, we stayed on Cinder Lane Parkway
to the airport. We had to go back because there was no crossing through security, absolutely nothing. So we had to hike it all the way back in town. Y'all, it was. I
drove like a wild banshee for real,
like police chase driving.
Yeah.
Like you would have thought someone was chasing us.
We had
so much so that when we got back, they were calling our names. We literally almost missed the flight. We got on there. We were just breathing heavy because we were running, booking through the airport. So it started off as an adventure. Not to mention we got there, but anyway, because I know for time's sake, that whole journey, so
that was the preset for 25 years, which is where we are today. That was the preset for the 25 years. So we want to drop some nuggets in, anything that we do, we're intentional, and we want to do it to help people, fun and all those things. But we really want marriages to work. That's our prayer. We want marriages to work. We want people to get together and really have that if you will, to make it work at all costs, because you're two different people. Life is changing, the world is changing, and you bring other dynamics in there. But it really takes mature people to consider and go through those things.
Yeah.
It was all worth it. That's right. Barbara Mitchell said it was what it was. My brother said I was driving too fast. Yes, I was, for real.
No, he's been, because normally you're not driving fast. He's like, driving fast?
Yeah.
Yes.
People hate to travel with me because I do the speed limit. I say if they wanted me to go fast, they would have put it higher. But anywho. So we're gonna talk about 5 points tonight that will help you maintain 25 years and beyond. If you put these things to practice, they're going to help you in your relationship, because again, we talk about these are kind of self-reflecting tools, but you implement them in your life, and it's going to be harmonious when both of the parties are that way. We do premarital counseling, and one of the things that we tell people, first of all, you got to have respect for God's word.
Oh, for sure.
You got to have respect for God's word. Number two, it has to be the final say. It has to be the final say. Above our opinion or what we think, it has to be the final say. And lastly, the Bible said, how can two walk except they be agreed? So that means we already have the willingness, watch this, we already have the willingness to implement or to input peace or come to a place of mediation in our relationship.
Yeah, your starting point has to be.
It has to be.
It can't, it's not no growing it. I mean, we're going to grow together, but the starting point has to be in agreement.
Yeah, because that's a great foundation.
Yeah,
you have to have that foundation.
And I think that's the key is, if you're doing this now, because I know for those that say, okay, well, I'm not married yet, so this doesn't apply to me. Yes, it does, because what we're going to share, Trust me, if you can start implementing, get great about it now and how you operate in the relationships that you're in, even if it's not a married relationship, you'll be that better off when you connect with somebody else, for sure.
Right.
For marriage, right?
Absolutely.
Because some of these things, trust me, we did learn it along the way. I mean, I think we did come into it. I know you started off saying that you got to know your values and who you are. And for us, to be honest, we knew some. I'll say for me, I knew a little bit about who I was, but I'll be honest, I had to learn a lot along the way. I was still discovering a lot of vows throughout the earlier parts of our marriage, and we'll be getting into that in a minute. That caused some strains because of it.
And so that feeds right into what our first point is, or first key is communication. And I really want to talk and lay into this, because when we ask people, Val is a facilitator and I do some certain classes as well. And one of the things that's interesting to me, if you ask people if they're a good communicator, most people will say, yes, I'm a good communicator, because we think communication is being able to
just talking,
or being able to articulate your thought. But that's not
say
communication.
What you want to say.
Yeah,
I don't hold back. I
tell the truth.
Well.
You know, I just tell the truth. I'm honest. You know, but that's not really communication. Communication is active listening. It's actively listening and not just to respond. And a lot of times, like we said, a lot of these keys that we're sharing tonight are things that you have to practice by yourself. You know, how you pop off when you in the restaurant, you know, and people do stuff with your food. You know, how are you communicating with your coworkers and different things of that nature? You have to understand the dynamics of how you're wired. So when you get with that potential person that you're moving in that area of your spouse, or if you're married, you've got to learn the art of communication. And one of the first things is practice active listening.
That's the top.
That's the top. Active listening. And active listening says, I hear, not with just the intent to respond, but I hear what you're saying and I'm considering where you are. What can we do to make this a mutual agreement for the both of us? Because if you think about, a lot of time conversation, when we get into debates as couples, we end up circling the same thing over and over again. You know what I'm saying?
Because you're not talking from a place to reconcile. You're talking from a place because you want to be right.
Be right. Absolutely.
And your point is your point. You're not, and a lot of times we're not even really listening to what's being said. We just we hear one or two words that trigger, and the rest of it sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. So now we get in either defense mode, right? Because we're already offended. So now we take on the defense, and now it's just about trying to justify, point the fingers. And this is where the combativeness comes into play.
Right. One of the things that we have implemented in our communication skills, y'all, and we seriously do these things. Like we said, we're not saying that we're sharing keys that we use. And there's a phrase that we use when we're talking. Number one, we try not, or we're conscious not to use absolutes.
Right.
We try not to use absolutes.
So give an example. We say,
so
like,
you always do so and so, or you never blah 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 blah. You know, because every time, you know, and here's the thing, y'all. Now, because we made a conscious effort to do it, you got to really think about what you're getting ready to say, because it's going to violate what you all have as like almost like a peace treaty.
Yeah.
So you can't, you can't just haul off and say stuff. And a lot of times when we deal with communication, people get angry. What do? We just say stuff.
Yeah.
Because
we add so much.
We add so much because what you said offended me.
So
you trying to move past, but I'm gonna stay right there. No, let's go back to talking about when you said XYZ. So those are some things that we've implemented in our communication skill set that have helped us been in the place of 25 years.
So let's pause right there. So just give an example in real life that we had to work through. How, in the beginning, until we got to this place, why would you get so frustrated when we were communicating, weren't getting resolved? What are some of the things that I would do?
As it relates to communication. So when we first came into our relationship, Val was one that, and this, I'm trying not to go too deep, but her upbringing, she didn't really have a voice when we first came earlier in our relationship. She had a voice, but she wasn't very vocal. I say it that way.
Okay.
She wasn't very vocal. So it would be frustrating to me because I would be trying to get a point across and there was no type, and I'm not talking about arguing, y'all. I'm saying trying to come to a mediation with it. But she was like, because she didn't like conflict.
I shut down.
She shut down. She didn't like conflict. It was like, just leave it. Let it go. But it's like, I come from a family that we talk about stuff and you going to talk about it, crying, tears, we're going to talk about. So because of the dynamics of our culture, our family culture, it caused a strain on our relationship as it related to communication. So what we had to do, we had to come to a place of being sensible and set boundaries.
Yeah, and ask how do you want to be communicating?
Yeah, how do you want to be communicating?
Like, why do you shut down? I would avoid and I would shut down because sometimes his tone to me felt harsh, felt very harsh. And so, even though that's just him just being straightforward, and I'm like, wow, like that. And then it just felt, it felt.
She would always say, why are you yelling?
Like, why you yelling? And then he's sometimes it's so direct. I'm like, your choice of words, and I'm thinking, he's like, no, I'm not trying to be. And that was his way. And he would just say, I'm just being honest. And I'm like, okay, well, can we find another way to say that? And so then I would just shut down and I didn't want to talk. So then I would just avoid. But here's the thing, we wouldn't get anywhere. And that would frustrate him. So that would frustrate those. And I was going to say in return, that was my challenge towards him with communicating with him, is just the tone of how he would say things, or just feeling like it's going to combust. Cause I'm like, all right, you know what? Just forget about it. Now, fast forward, that was one phase. The second phase is now when I started getting more comfortable and we're talking through it. Now I think I'm saying too much because he says I add I'm adding more to it. He's like, see, now there you go. Cause it starts off with, you didn't take the trash out. Why?
Yeah.
You promised me this.
I started singing the whining song, bring back the days of yay and nay.
It's like, and he actually would tell me, you all, I liked you better when you didn't say a whole lot. I'm like, well, no. You I'm more comfortable. We were learning how to communicate. You say to be honest, since we're gonna be honest here. And then part of it, yes, it was a little bit extra. You all know we can add he calls it that little jab, because we'll start off. He's like, okay, Val, I got you. I understand what you're saying. And then I'll throw in something like, yeah, because that's not how you treat your shop. And you go to the shop and it's perfectly clear. And then he's like, see, there you go. Because in other words, we would get into arguments about who taking out the trash. And I would get, and it sounds simple, but it's constant, right? But then I see him at his salon and I'm like, wow, everything has to be spotless and it's so beautiful and cleaned up so nice. And I'm like, well, why do you want to do that at home? And so whenever I would make reference of it, that would burn him.
It would fuel me.
He was like, now you adding way too much. You know how we just kind of jab, especially women. We have a way
of how dare you bring my salon into this? My salon did nothing to you.
Which then brings us to our statement. What do we say? Keep it on what it's on. Because then we start adding things from the past, from over here, last week. Yeah. Things that don't really relate to what's current in whatever.
And y'all, this stuff actually works, but it takes you harnessing and disciplining yourself, which is the fruit of the spirit. And that's why we say, even though this is a dynamic for married people, it's something you have to practice by dealing with people, period.
Oh, for
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got to be forbearing, long suffering, all those things that the word of God says. So we develop this in people, anybody that counsels with us, we teach these same principles. Keep it on what it's on. And so what will happen, like sometimes we laugh about it now because we've matured in that. And like, I want to bring something from last week, but I know because I respect our boundaries, I can't do it. So what that looks like if we're talking about getting the bag out the car, you can't go and say like, well, last week you did X, Y, Z. No. What are we talking about now?
Right.
Because what happened when you master those techniques of resolving what is at hand and what's on the table, you want what I call pulling witnesses.
Right.
It's not about pulling witnesses because then you're operating from a place of pride and you want to be right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Both of us agree that we're going to respect those boundaries.
Yeah.
Both of us agree, and we was like, if that was something that bothered you, then you should have brought it up when it happened.
When it happened, yeah.
Does that make sense? Y'all drop something in the comments, thumbs up if you understand that. We're talking about relationships, period. It's just up front and in your face when you get with your spouse. But these are things that you have to master when you deal with your family, you know, and all those things. Yeah. Keep it on what it's on.
Knowing that because sometimes he'll say things. I remember you would make a statement like, man, if I called that out, like you called that out to me, or just, you know, brought that up to me, you know, I know you would be offended. I said, hey, but we're different, you know, so there's things that maybe don't bother you like it bothers me, and vice versa. The thing is, we had to learn to respect, and we would talk through it. I said, you're making it seem like things, you know, that impact me a certain way are invalid, because for you, you're like, well, I can handle that. That doesn't bother me. Well, certain words and things I don't like to be said, or a certain tone of how to be spoken to. I said, that's me. So I'm trying to, you know, share with you how I like to be communicated if we're going to do this right. Instead of justifying, and this is where listening comes in. Listen to what I'm saying, because when you talk to me like that, it reminds me of this, you know, different. I remember for him, it's control. If anything, I remember we would get into it, and he said, you know, Val, sometimes it sounds like you're coming from a space of control. And I'm like, oh, and my honest to God, I'm not saying there aren't ever times that maybe I was trying to be a little like, you know, because when we trying to get the house in order, whatever, but I had to understand what I sound like to him sometimes, and respect. And then when I learned of his background and where, you know, his, you know, just where it's coming from, I'm like, that's what that sounds like. I'm like, oh, wow. Cause I would tell him like something about something as simple as we'll go back to taking out the trash. And I'm like, hey, remember you would say I tie the how do you tell people?
It was like
I tie the bag up and just throw it out.
And she would throw it on the floor and like take out the trash. And I felt like a peasant. And so it instantly, come on, brothers, y'all know, instantly when our territory is challenged, we gonna defend. So I would automatically be combative. And now anybody that know me, I'm not a loud person. I'm a chill dude for real. That's what you get. I love to make people laugh. If you hang out with me for a day, you're gonna get some jokes, but I'm real chill. I don't like turbulence. I don't like arguing stuff. But the mere fact she did that, what I saw was, and see, that's something else that we had to deal with, because another coin phrase we use, are you hearing or seeing through your insecurity? Yeah. And a lot of times you see things from your insecurity, and what happens, you try to impress that on the other person. Now, I'm going to pause here for a minute, because there's a lot, y'all, we can go through. This relationship is for mature people.
For mature people, yeah.
Because it's not about you right, I'm wrong. It's not about those type of things. It's like, what can we do that is going to be harmonious for the both of us? And I saw somebody had a question. Sometimes there is not a resolve right then. But another thing that we implemented in our communication, I don't know where we are in our notes, but we're going to go with it. One of the things that we implement in our communication set also is a lot of time, because Val was a person that she would shut down, it would fuel me because I want to talk about it and resolve. And she was like, I don't want to talk about it now. So what we came up with, and she's here, this is some of the things that we implemented. How do we deal with that? I'll let you tell how we deal with those times when we was like, you know, I don't want to talk about that now.
We commit to a time though.
Exactly.
We don't, because to say, okay, not right now. Okay, that's respected, but not right now cannot be like 3, 4, 5 weeks later. Because at that point, you know, it's like, listen,
I have to respect that.
So there's an agreement of like, hey, okay, respect it, but like, let's commit to a time because I want to resolve it. And so, yeah, we want to resolve, to work through it, because the flip side to it, when you're not resolving these things, you're giving the enemy place to come in and just, you know, infiltrate. Right. And so, so we've learned that early on, we've experienced that, you know, we'll get to the point where part of why we were at the divorce table was because we were both at this place of like not wanting to really talk through an honest conversation about what was going on in the marriage. And then we were just, you know, me avoiding, him not really pulling me and holding me accountable to it, or us agreeing to a time to talk. We just kept putting it off until it just started severing and causing a divide.
Distance.
And a distance, right. And so now whenever you create, that's why we encourage people, hey, I understand you're going to be in heated moments and have arguments that may be uncomfortable. But what we discourage is, one, don't get out of your bed. This for married couples. Now, if you ain't married, you don't need to be in the bed together.
Bed anyway.
But what I'm saying is, don't leave your bed at night because you're upset and you didn't resolve if you're married. Because again, you got to think about what that's signifying and what that's
giving
doing
the enemy place.
For the enemy. Don't leave your house talking about you staying in the hotel and you're not coming home tonight and 5 and 6 hours later and going to the bar and things that you know is going to set you in a whole nother direction, especially if that's something you have been set free and delivered for, because you are setting yourself up. And this is how people get caught up in some things that they shouldn't be doing when they wonder, how did I get here? Because that's what you do. You run instead of working through. Now, when I'm talking, don't get technical. If there's abuse and things, I'm not saying, I'm talking about mere arguments, just disagreements that really set us off. And really ask yourself, well, why is, and then too, you got to start thinking about, where is that really coming from that is causing you to do that much? You understand? You know, but you know, I don't want to get too far out there.
No,
because
we
again, we can take that. But again, going back to the trashing, I had to understand what, and I would be honest to I thought I was helping him when I would take the trash out of the receptacle and like tie it up, you know, the trash can in the kitchen, tie it up and just put it by the door and say, hey, would you take the trash out? Because I felt like I was like meeting him halfway and then he'll kind of go do the rest because he's usually going out in the garage, going outside, doing things. But to him, he felt like I was tying it up saying, you go take the trash out. And I was like, oh my gosh, my heart's intent was, that's not how I saw that. I saw that from a place of help, but I had to understand where that was coming from. So we had to talk about it and then come to an agreement. Well, how do you want this to look? So he's like, hey, if I say I'm gonna take it out, then I'll do all of it. You don't have to help. Okay, fine. So now
and respect that
and understand that works better for us. Is it hard for me to do that? I have to put pride aside and it can't be about, well, this is just, you just got to get over it. I mean, no one's trying to control you and you just being sensitive. You need to get healed. That's not the way. When listen, a marriage is a partnership. And if I care about this person I'm with, then if at the very least, hey, okay, you got it. I don't have to, if that triggers you that way until we get to that place, that's not a problem for me. I don't have to turn that into something so drastic and upsetting, right?
And I think that's the key to it when we're talking about communication is you learn those midpoints that you, even if you have to come back and revisit. And guys, I'm saying this again, I'm not saying that our union was perfect, but what we're sharing tonight are things that we use, keys to make it to 25 years. We're gonna get into a little deep where we were at the place of divorce. We were at the table, not thinking about it. We were literally getting ready to go through it, because when you're coming together, if you don't have some type of will within you to make it work, it will not work.
It's not gonna work.
It will not work. And we see that now, the level of commitment when it comes to relationship and different things like that are far and in between people just not committing. And so when you're a person that won't commit by yourself, how in the world you think the dynamic's going to be committed to someone else? Loyalty is out the window, and those are things that we have to master. So you want to make sure that you're communicating. And like, just to reiterate what Val said, in your communication, you want to set boundaries, be clear with your boundaries of how you want to be treated. And what I had to learn, no matter how bizarre it may seem, if that's what that person is asking and you feel you have the bandwidth to do it, then you honor that. It's about honoring those boundaries, and so that's what we have to do, because we have to understand the enemy is always trying to drive a wedge in marriages, because according to the scripture, we know that marriage, that union, is symbolic of God's love with the church. So he's always trying to cause things to deface what God has joined together and call it holy. God has called it holy. Our union is holy unto God. So we have to protect that. We have to protect that. And here's the thing. Now it's bigger than you just saying stuff. Right. It's bigger than us just saying stuff. No, now it's down to the wire where we have to protect our union at any cost, whatever principalities are coming, and come to the place where we have to think sensibly about it.
And let me just say this before we move on to point 2. Number 1, so we talked about communication. That's the first cornerstone to the relationship, to the marriage, is being able to effectively communicate. And what does that entail? Number one, actively listening. Number two is also using I statements, to express how you feel. You know, not pointing fingers and you, but no, hey, this is how that made me feel. You know, like making sure you speak to you, because a lot of times we think that's a soft side, and pride gets in the way, and we don't want to do. And it's interesting because we've done that. We'll talk all around it, but instead of just saying, hey, this is how that made me feel.
Right.
And this is how I'm feeling right now.
Keep it on
I'm not feeling loved. I'm not feeling respected. I'm not feeling like you care. Whatever that means. And interesting enough, y'all, it is hard because it makes you put down pride. And it sounds like you're being soft. And y'all, these things, we used to laugh because I'm like, you would think it sounds very elementary, if you will. And like,
but it works.
I want to talk to you, and this is how I feel right now. But listen, it helps. It helps. And it really does help. Instead of flipping it and be like, yeah, because you always and you never and you done, and then it's like, no, this is how, when you did that, this is how it made me feel. Let's talk about it. And sometimes there's not there could be, not an intent to try to hurt. Now there could be when we're really, because sometimes we get vengeful, and that's a whole nother topic. But if it wasn't, hey, this is how this impact me, and just really expressing what that means to you. Would you say?
And respect that.
And respect.
And I call it the lump in the throat. It's like to say that, because when we set that boundary, you would have thought I needed an exorcism, because I did not want to do it. I didn't want to do it. So it's like that lump in your throat. That's right. Torres says is hard.
It is, yeah.
It's hard to do for sure. Yes, it is. It's like the lump in the throat. But here's the thing. You will save a lot of makeup time if you learn to do that.
Yeah.
It'll save you a lot of going back and regret and all that kind of stuff, because what happened, we say a lot of things in those times, like Val said, using you statement and absolutes, and they cause chaos, especially if that person, your loved one, is working through insecurities.
There you go.
If they're already dealing with insecurities, you think you're just saying something, but it's not, because it's going to stick.
Yeah.
It's going to stick. And then you got to deal with resentment. Now you got to deal with bitter. Now they don't want to have nothing to do with you. So in like we're saying, this is not just for marriage. This is a principle that you have to operate in your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
How are you talking to people?
And
how are you showing up?
Yeah. And especially, I'll say, that's heavy in our culture, the African-American culture. I'll be politically right in trying to say that, in Black culture, seriously, because we're taught to thrive and survive a certain way. You don't let anybody do this to you, and you don't let people talk to you any kind of way. So what happens is, when someone does something, for us to come and say, hey, don't be weak, you man up, and all these things. So when to come to someone and say, hey, this is how you hurt me, or it impacted me, or made me feel, that doesn't sound like it's a strength for a place. It doesn't sound like it's coming from a place of strength. Right. So we got to always man up then, because we are taught, you just go back in, be combative, and you give them back what, give them what they gave you. And this is why we have strained relationships in our families, in our marriages, in work relations. And now this is not just to our culture. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what I know historically, what we in this Black culture been taught, and that there's a place that it comes from. I get it. I get it. I understand all of that. However, so we got work to do when it comes to that. And so you want something to work, and you wonder why you're finding yourself, not having strong relationships, even in dating, or, even just with people not wanting to be around you. Consider that, because it's coming from a place, and there are insecurities there, because if you've been silenced and your voice isn't heard, and you've been told to be quiet a lot, so now you get in these relationships and you want to stand up and man up and do all these things, you're saying a lot. You want to always be right, is what I'm saying. And so you don't find yourself trying to reconcile properly with people. And there's a lot of issues and healing that has to happen in order to do this. And we honestly, marriage is for mature people, because it does take bringing down that pride and you're releasing that to be able to do that.
You're so right. And I was just thinking, we didn't put this in our notes, but it's like, that's right, Steph, tick for tat.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to master these things, because if we just be honest, y'all, think about it. And I tell Val this all the time. I'm the type of dude, when we were dating, And I'm talking about how we show up to represent, but we don't really let the real us show.
Right. Yeah.
We don't let the real us show. So I remember I would show up to pick Val up. We went wherever we were going. I would have starched jeans, fresh haircut. I'm talking about cologne. I mean, I went and got the car cleaned out, all that kind of stuff, because I'm representing, you see. Mm-hmm. I hate to clean out my car. I hate the iron. All this now.
Right.
I'd like to have some type of haircut or something that I ain't got to manage for a while, which is why my hair like it is now. So it's like all these things, but in that state to represent, when I went to show up at her house, I was everything that she would want, that I thought would be irresistible. But then when you get married and you live with that person, we can't hold all that stuff up, and it caused conflict. So now why you, and then people say this, oh, you change. No, they ain't change. You didn't fall in love with that person. Yeah. You fell in love with the representative. So that's why it's so necessary that we develop these dynamics of how to work through conflict, because people are going to only give to you in a relationship, I don't care if it's your dog, your cat, or a goldfish, what they have the capacity to demonstrate. Mm-hmm. You can't expect. One of my books that hopefully one day I'll release is A Chicken is a Chicken. Oh, Lord. And it really talks about expectation, that you can't expect people to be something else that they can't deliver. And this is why we see a lot of relationships, they go down because irreconcilable differences, because nobody wants to come to a point of mediation. Yeah. Nobody wants to come to a point of mediation.
We love to be right.
Right. And I think we kind of slid into the second point was conflict resolution and forgiveness. And I think we kind of round that, but we can kind of just give some clarity. If y'all enjoying this conversation, give us
the chicken. That's right. The chicken.
That's right, Elder Roy said a chicken is a chicken.
A chicken is a chicken.
Is a chicken. So, and we have to understand those dynamics of how people show up. And here's the thing: be comfortable in showing up how you are. Yeah, that's a big one. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying you going on a date, you don't comb your hair and stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying don't demonstrate something that you're not able to hold up. Like it's been taught. When you go out on a date, open the car for the lady and do all this kind of stuff. Well, watch this. If that ain't in your makeup, you know what's going to happen? When you get married, you ain't going to open no door, because that's not a part of your makeup. So what you do, you give that potential person the opportunity to fall in love with that person that has the potential to be what they're looking for. So if they want a door opener, then let them have the opportunity to choose that. Don't just, because what you're doing, we used to, I don't know, do we still use that word flogging?
Oh no.
Yeah,
that's old.
Yeah,
but that's
say
a good one, but not that.
What's up, Sam Turner?
Some of them.
Yeah, we used to say flogging back in the day.
Well,
you pretending.
Yeah. Now we won't fully get into it because I know we're trying to move on. But one of our biggest arguments was around, remember, you not walking me out, because that kind of goes in line with the door. Because here I'm thinking, as a man, you walk, your wife outside. You ought to just know that. Crank her car, start the AC or the heater, whichever season it is, and that's what you do. Well, one morning when we first got married,
this was our first spat, y'all. This is our first spat.
He didn't do that, and I was heading to work, and it was like the daylight savings had kicked in, so it was darker for me going to work early in the morning, and he didn't have to get up yet. And I'm thinking, you just gonna let me walk out there to the car? Like, you don't want to walk me at least to the door? He said, good, have a good day and all that wonderful stuff. But I'm thinking, what? And that bothered me. And so, we got into it about that. And I'm attacking his man, like, as a man, and and now again, here's the trigger, because I'm trying to address him. Now I'm adding all this extra, like, what, man, don't do that, and whatever. And I'm like, how would you just let me go out there? What if somebody's out, so women, we get very drastic too. Like, oh my God, somebody could be standing around the corner, knock me upside my head, whatever. And so what I had to realize as we talked through it, number one, that was my upbringing, because in my growing up, my father would always do that for my mom. And so when I started driving, had my car, and I was still living at home, anytime we would leave, my dad would make sure, he pulled cars out, make sure if it was cold, he made sure he turned the heater on. If windows fogged up, did unfogged. And if it was hot, he makes sure the AC was on. So he always walked us out, put gas in our cars and all those things. So I never really made that known to Dre in the beginning. I just thought it was like an assumed thing. That's what I saw a man do. So I thought that's what men do, right? Well, he didn't grow up in, not that he didn't have manly, he did a lot of wonderful things, don't get me wrong, but in that stead, that wasn't something he was accustomed to doing. He didn't see it that way. So I took offense to that. And y'all, this is why it's important to communicate and talk and ask, well, where is that coming from? Or let's talk about it. Now, we argue before we talked, and this is our journey of learning how to properly communicate. Because I made an assumption and I had expectations, and we talked about that some podcasts ago. But yeah, so that was one of our biggest arguments: understanding someone's background and culture, their upbringing. So I think when you were talking about when men don't open doors and things like, if they weren't taught to do that, then or that's not something they grew up doing, and you can't have that expectation and think it's just going. And you can't fly.
You can't say before folks start judging me in the comment section and I block you.
No, he's a gentleman, but in other areas.
You just can't say everybody should know
like
that.
As a man, you just should know that.
You can't say that because that's not a true statement. Everybody don't know that. I didn't know that. And then I don't have time to get into my lifestyle, but my lifestyle was not catering in that manner. So that was what we're saying when we're talking about conflict resolution, you have to be able to announce your boundaries. You got to give a clear, hey, this is what I like. This is how I like to be treated.
Especially if it's important to you.
If it's important,
there are things that, because we fold towels differently. I don't really care. As long as it's the towels are washed, you can fold them, roll them up, however. But then there's things that are like really important to me, like, so we have to state those things. And boundaries. I see a little
So it's like what you said. You state those boundaries, then we have to respect that, and that's what we're saying. It takes mature people to do this, y'all. Not just in marriage. This is what we're saying. That's why we invited people in here, even though we're celebrating our anniversary. These are principles that are, usable in any type of relationship. You use a relationship with your goldfish and your dog. It's still applicable to those things because you have to be able to first know about yourself. Some of us are dealing with so many insecurities. We don't know how the heck we want to be treated. We don't know. We can say what we don't want, but we don't know how do you want to be wish to be treated. A story. Val was at a certain place, and the young lady addressed her as a B. That's now that's like a term of endearment, but we old school. You don't do that, and that offended. So what Val did, she set a boundary. Hey, my name is this, and I'm fine with you calling me this. You know what I'm saying? So you set those boundaries. And
not the B. I told her what my name was,
we're not
and
doing
I said,
no B
hey,
stuff.
listen, I know maybe culturally that's what you do, and it's fun and games, but for me, this is, and I let her know this is what this represents to me. Coming from you,
right?
And so unless you hear me call you that, we're not going to do that.
Exactly.
And further on, here's my name. And that's all I'm going to go by. And so we got, and she apologized and she's like, no, I didn't mean it that way. And I said, I believe your intent was not there, but this is the impact it had on me. This is how this landed. It didn't land too well. So we want to remain calm on this workplace, then we're going to do this way. And so sometimes it's just setting boundaries and also talking through that. Because I wanted her to understand what does that signify? To me, this is how I take it. And it wasn't an insecure place, but when you say that, you got to know some people's cultural history and background too. And if it was my insecurity, at the end of the day, hey, this is where I'm at until I'm healed from that. That's just not what we're going to do.
And you didn't scream and yell.
And it's just a respect value. If people say they don't want you to care to be called something or partake in certain things, you can't get upset and try to assume or just force somebody into something, even in a marriage.
Right. And that's what boundaries say. Boundaries say this, and this is what people mess up. Boundaries said, in order for me to participate in this relationship with you, these are the rules that I operate by. So if you don't want to operate by these rules, you and I cannot engage in relationship. And that's whether it's a work relationship, any dynamics. Are y'all understand that? Give us a thumb up if that makes sense.
This is so good. And this is why premarital counseling is necessary.
Yeah.
These are the discoveries that you get when you're in premarital counseling. Now, I know sometimes we think we meet people for 2 days, 3 months, and we just know them. Okay. just be ready because it's going to show up because you're connecting to somebody else with you didn't live with, you don't know. So learning people, there's a lot to be learned. So it's just, you may not discover everything, but there's key things you have to know. Goes back to what he said in the beginning. You have to know yourself. So for those that are single, take this time right now to really understand and know who you are. So when you link up to that person, whatever that looks like, either they can accommodate or that's just not your person. And there's nothing wrong with it though. If those key values are important to you, then that's what you got to stick by.
Right. This is how we operate.
Yeah, and that's how we operate. And that's what we had to learn, because there are certain things there's certain names. Me and Andre have never called each other in arguments. We don't say dumb, stupid, and we definitely don't use any profane curse words in talking to each other. I don't care how mad we get, because you talk about a shutdown. We stop right there like, well, wait, hold up. We don't talk about each other's mamas. We don't get into family things. We keep it on what it's on. Now, if you got a problem with me, but here's how you are going to talk to me.
Right.
And he does that to me like, well, wait, you're not going to yell, Val. Now we going to talk, but you're not going to yell. Bring it down. And so there are certain boundaries that you have to set. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to be mature enough to understand it's not about just wanting to be right and I'm going to just do it. And I don't care what you say. This is how I roll. No, when you care about the person you with, then you adjust work where it needs to be adjusted.
Right. And so those principles and points that we're sharing is what's going to help your marriage stay 25 years and longer. I want to go into this, and before I say this and share this, I want everybody to understand I'm getting ready to be vulnerable a minute and transparent. I love my wife. This was way, way, way back, because I saw somebody ask the question, how do we get from the divorce table to now?
I missed that. I didn't see that. Okay.
I saw it up there. So
we got to put in the work.
Yeah. Here it is.
Oh.
So someone asks, when you were at the divorce table, what got you to reevaluate to get you to where you are now?
Wow. Okay.
A number of things, we'll try to keep it short. A number of things was, like we said, we had to have those honest conversations. And I remember this one conversation because during the dynamics of life, y'all, and I'm gonna try to keep this brief, 2008 to 2010, we always said, and my wife would tell you, it was like our worst year of marriage. We had a lot of things going on. I had lost my job. They was repossessing stuff. We lost our house. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff going on, and it put pressure on the both of us and strain our relationship. So fast forward, we went through those turbulent times, and I remember we got to a place where the static of the stuff and the things and the temperament of where we were, it hazed our love for one another, and we were aggravated with one another. And I remember asking Val one day, I said, well, what is it, or something like that. And she said, I'm just not feeling this right now. I'm just not with this right now. So instead of hearing what she said, I immediately jumped into retaliation mode. What you mean? What you doing? Just going on. And it combusted and turned into an argument. So how we got to that place is kind of the second point, conflict resolution and forgiveness. We got to a place to have honest conversation. We had to have honest conversation. And when I'm saying honest conversation, what I mean is honest conversation says when that individual express to you how they feel, you have to respect it. And all this stuff, y'all, is for adult people, because you can't fly off the handle. So when she said, I'm not feeling it here, I'm not liking it here, I had to respect that and say, okay, I understand that's how you feel. Is there something we can do? Is it something we can repair? Those are tools and techniques that have to be. I can't get mad like, man, I'm done with this. Blah, 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 and fly off the handle and go and stay with somebody for, and all this kind of stuff, because it just creates space and it gives the enemy a foothold. So how we got through that, having those honest conversations, and I remember, she's here, she'll tell you, during that time, and this is not just mumbo jumbo stuff, y'all. We literally did this through that time because we had some heavy stuff that we were working through. We prayed. We literally didn't like each other, but we came together and prayed. And I remember sometimes we would hold each other's hands like this because we didn't, we were like, okay, we're going to do this. And we prayed. We also had a marriage confession that we read. Now, here's back to the scripture. This is good. The Bible said, how can two walk except they be agreed? Even though there were turbulence in our relationship, somewhere on the inside of both of us, we still wanted it to work.
And I think that went back to one of the things that we were asked with the trusted counseling that, because we had some key people that were, trusted voices during that time. Is before we start putting the work in, we had to ask ourselves, do we want it to work?
Right,
do
exactly.
you want the marriage?
Yeah.
So we had to really think about it and assess, like, well, do we? And we agreed, well, we do, but there are some things that have to change and be different. And that's both, and not pointing the fingers, because that was the easy part. What he wasn't doing right is what I wanted to talk about. And then what I wasn't doing right is what he wanted to talk about. And it's like, no. Let's assess each individual, taking account for their own selves. Right. Let's talk about it. And then we started realizing through that honest conversation. And when we say honest, I'm talking about brutally honest. Yeah. Now, with that, with the level of grace and love for as much as you can, but this is where active listening has to come in play, because it can be hard for somebody to tell you the relationship feels boring. I don't know. I'm just not feeling as attracted to you right now. Those are honest things, y'all, that happen. It's like, whoa. And how do you sit there and not feel like you're getting enraged? Because now insecurity is going to start easing up. And now you're going to take a defense. And now we ready to just start saying some things that are hurtful. Well, you ain't got to be here. And it's like, whoa, listen. But then talking to, tell me more, like, why? What would you like to see? And we had to really when I say we had multiple conversations, and some of them didn't always end just so beautifully. There was tears. There was, hey, we need to just take a break. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll come back to this. And we would just agree to just pause for the evening and just move on through it. Prayer was happening through that too. And so I'm just saying there was a lot. I mean, for time's sake, I know we can't get to every detail of what we were experiencing, but when you ask, how did we get from there? Number one, we made a conscious effort to say you got to want it to work. You understand? You got to want it to work. When we decided, because there was a point we were both saying, I don't know. Let me think about it. But then, when we finally came to really talk, I guess assessing and really thinking about and just having time, like self-time, because we did allow each other to just have some time to just think, right? And sort, because a lot of sorting that was happening. And then when we made that decision, okay, now the work is going to begin, and it's going to be a painful process, because now you got to hit some things head on, that aren't going to feel good, and all our loveliness and all our friendship and all the things we experienced. And we realized we were putting so many things in the way of our marriage, and we allowed the enemy to infiltrate by way of other things, career, singing group, just everything that we were so focused on that we lost sight of really focusing on nurturing our marriage. So then from there, through prayer and the proper godly counseling is how we were able to push through that that time. And we're so grateful for that, right?
And I just want to throw this out there. It was compromise submitted to the word of God.
To the word of God.
The Bible tells us, submit to God, resist the devil, then he'll flee.
Yeah.
And so we have to understand in those dynamics of your union, and that's why, I just really feel pressed to say that tonight. I know we're going over time, y'all. We got to understand that you don't take these dynamics and just try to implement them in your marriage. These are dynamics of what you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is who you are. We're supposed to be peacemakers. We're supposed to be mediators through turbulence. We're supposed to be people that are implanting peace in every situation. So now when you get with your spouse, it should not be unfamiliar,
right?
But it should be learning the dynamics of that individual. That's
and then going back to be honest, this is why it's important if you're gonna link up with someone that's not just somebody that goes to church, but has a relationship with God.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna also be the other convicting point. Because we also start talking about the vow. Like, we committed to God. And what are the vows? That comes immediately right back to the memory of you. It should anyway. If you serving the Lord and you are believers, and this is how you started your union, not just because, some people just get married in a church, but no, having that relationship. What are the vows that for better or for worse, right?
Rich or poor,
sickness and in health. So that means till death do us part. So there's no excuse for that. You committed. So for whatever that looks like, you supposed to commit. Now, I understand things happen. Everybody got their reasons and excuses why we don't want to fight for things. So for us, it was how we wanted to honor God at the end of the day. And because of the God on the inside of us, that helped to keep us connected in a way, because there was conviction and God was pointing, it was like, no, Val, don't point the finger at him. You got to do some work within you. You got to, this is you. We need to deal with some things that's going on within you. And then he did the same thing. And then we were talking about it, and I was able to be honest, like, here's what I'm feeling, and he was just as honest. But yeah, like I said, it's a process, for sure. But
that's a lot of time. I mean, because y'all,
no, you're okay.
But that's a lot of time. What happens now that we see why people are not making it to 2 years.
Yeah.
It's because the influence of the culture.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what we miss, because as people of God, this doesn't mean anything to anybody that does not have a relationship with God. I'm not talking about religious people. That ain't what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that to be mean and crass, but I'm saying when you have a relationship with God, our number one goal is to do that which is pleasing to God. I want to please God absent from Val. Val wants to please God absent from me. So because our vertical is right, it makes it easy for us to do it horizontally, because we have to sacrifice, and I'm thinking about the scripture that says, because that's all I know to give is a scripture. The word of God says that be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So it comes a time and place that we cannot be drawn away by the culture and the customs of our time. Just because everybody doing this and everybody saying this, that don't work for us. We don't live up under the same standard, because I've never seen so much broken covenants. And it goes back to what Val was saying. Our marriage is a covenant. And I'm not talking about, infidelity and stuff like that. The Bible is clear on those things. But I'm talking about like silly stuff. Well, I don't want to say that. That's kind of disrespectful. But I'll say small things that the average person should have the maturity level to work through. People are not doing it.
Yeah.
So we're seeing people ending marriages over silly stuff, and it all boils down to pride. And this is the ugly thing. And I'm gonna get back on, because I'm going somewhere else. I'm being led astray. Here's the ugly truth about it is, if it ended on a note of pride and you get in another relationship that you have not cultivated, that you have not stayed in place to deal with that issue, you know what's going to happen? The same pride nature is going to show up because you haven't dealt with it.
Right.
And that's what you see. So now we have this repetitive cycle. We have the same cycle of stuff because we haven't sat down long enough. And that's why I said, this is not just to married people. This is for individuals that are going into a covenant relationship with anybody. When you join a covenant with anybody to be friends, there's a temperament of loyalty that you got to have. There's a temperament of sacrifice that you must implement in order for you all to walk together. So anywho, I'm going to get off that because I'm getting excited.
You can't walk into this and be selfish.
No, you can't. You can't.
If it's all about you, you don't relationships aren't going to work
not
effectively for you. When everything becomes about you. It's not saying lose sight. There's a difference. We're not talking about losing your identity and who you are, but understanding when you connect with somebody, whatever that looks like, whether it's a business partnership, going into business together, or ministry together, or whatever that looks like, it doesn't stay just about you. And see, that's why it takes maturity, because sometimes you're going to have to put certain things aside, or it's a 50-50. You want to meet halfway in terms of being able to work and communicate with this person,
right,
and work through conflict. Sometimes pride has to be put aside.
Right.
And a lot of us don't. We want to be right, and especially in a culture like now, my God, it's crazy how this thing is, because we're so much competition. We want to be right about everything. We want to be validated in everything. So this is why it's making relationships that much more tougher. God bless the state of trying to find that person to connect with and marry right now, because Lord have mercy, people, we're in a time where, man,
we don't keep covenant.
We don't keep covenant. You know, the first little disagreement means I'm out. We don't want to fight through things, and it's like it's a sad state. But understand, if we talk about how to make this work, again, it's not, and people, the first, because when you say that, you know, it's interesting, because the first thought is people are like, well, yeah, but then it's like, you know, it can't just be all about them. And what about what I want? And I've done that all my life, and I'm not letting people run over me. And it's like, okay, you're coming from a whole nother space. That is not what we're talking about.
That's it.
Because if you're in that mindset, clearly there's healing that has to take place. Because just to say, hey, Dre, you know what? I'll let you go first, you know, I'll let you take this, or I'll let, you know, to just certain small things. If it's going to cause such a big upheave, like the folding of towels, no, this is how they need to be. Why is that? Is that really that important? Like, no. So there are certain battles you want to pick. Like I said, set your boundaries. Don't get me wrong, but we got to make sure that we're, even when there's a disagreement, it's also all in how we're deciding to work through it. And you got to put yourself, pride has to be.
It has to be killed and dealt with.
And deal through those insecurities. Because if not, it's definitely going to make it tougher.
All right, y'all. I know this is like a great conversation, and we are well over our time.
I think we only got through the 2 points.
Yeah,
so communication, being able to resolve conflict effectively and forgive. And then the third one we were going to get into is
quality time.
You know, what makes our marriage healthy is quality time. I mean, which I'm thankful, because we're in a space now that I don't get annoyed spending time with him. Like, I enjoy spending time. We enjoy spending time together. We're truly each other's best friends now. We've learned to be honest in our conversation, so we don't have to, like they say, fake it, or like, oh, you know, put these masks on. We've learned to just release all of that. Take the mask off, be honest, but also talk. When we say honest, though, making sure, again, it's coming from a place of love and grace. You understand? Be graceful, be loving about it. Not being harsh and rude, but being honest about it.
Do a part 2.
Yeah. I know there's so much to unpack with this. So much.
Faith as your foundation, and the last one is build trust and share goals.
So those are the 5 things.
Those we didn't touch on.
I mean, faith as a foundation. I know that came up a couple of times throughout.
Thanks, Shauna, for putting those in there for us.
Yeah,
one is communication, conflict resolution, and forgiveness is number 2. Number 3 is quality time. That means you got to plan time to spend with each other. Be intentional with your time.
Be intentional,
because a lot of time what happens in relationship, people say you start drifting apart because that does not become a priority again. Now on Mondays, Val and I spend time with one another. We go do something, you know.
Well, we do other days too.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying Monday is that place. We're intentional that Monday because no, go ahead.
Yeah,
that's like Monday, that time, even if it's nothing but catching a quick lunch is what I'm saying. It's not anything big because she's at work. So I'm like, you know, we'll catch a lunch, or in the house, I might order something in, but we have that time where the attention is on her. In the 4th one is faith as the foundation. There has to be some consensus of what we believe in, what we believe about as a household. It can't be isolated, because that's going to open room for conflict. You know what I'm saying? I can't want to go to church on Saturday and she want to go to church on Sunday. That is going to cause some type of conflict if there's no giving way. Okay. Yeah. Build trust and share your goals. The 5th one is build trust and share goals. So those are the 5 keys that we've learned through 25 years of marriage. We pray that this has been a blessing to you all and that you can glean something from it. We will consider a part 2. We will definitely consider that. If y'all enjoyed this study, y'all give us, a study. I'm in Bible study. If y'all enjoyed this talk, give us thumbs up and let us know that you really enjoy that.
And to be clear, listen, marriage, it's not perfect. You know, we don't have a perfect marriage. We just learned how to work through the imperfections, and work with each other in our imperfections. And making sure that we remind ourselves that, hey, we're on the same team. Okay. And so just keeping that in mind. it is for mature believers, but mature people, point blank period, I said. And so if you are not married and you're considering, just remember, it takes a level of maturity. It really
Absolutely.
does. And just making sure at the end of the day that it's between you, husband, wife, and God,
Amen.
keeping other folks out. Don't go seeking counseling from your sister girl, your brother man, bro man that aren't giving godly counsel. And so that's always important and key as well. And so, I would say.
So here's the part of the show, y'all. For those that don't know, we're getting ready to, I know I'm dealing with the new dread hair here. But where we invite everybody to be a part of our family community. This is our family. So each night, Monday night, when we show up, you could be a part of the family if you go to the website, and all you have to do is register at the website and enter your name, andredwayne.com, and you will be a part of the family. So what we do, we recognize those people that have joined our family because we're planning an event. And for all that, I'm telling people are registering. We appreciate if we're late getting to you, just keep hanging out with us. But we want to acknowledge those people that are part of our family. And we want to say, welcome to Sheila Alberry, Mary Neal, Stephanie Gilbert, welcome to the family. Tasha Demonia, welcome to the family. Angel Neal, welcome to the family. Oh, I just spelled Stephanie. So we thank all those people that have, signed up, and you'll be receiving information and newsletters when we're doing the live event. The live event will be sometime in January. We're working on the logistics, but we'll let you know. So if you want to be a part of that experience where we will have a live shows dealing with various things. Also, I want to give a shout out and say thank you all. If you did not see last week's show, you need to go and look at it because it's going to bless your socks off with Kadeem and Leah. Mm-hmm. And thank you guys for your effort. Y'all showed up big. When I tell you the family showed up big, y'all showed up really big, and we got a ton of gifts to bless them with, and we really appreciate that. So we're trying to navigate when we have the live experience, the Clarity Lounge family reunion. We want them to bring little Judah with them. So now, if you wonder who little Judah is, you got to go and look at the video from last week because I ain't gonna tell you. It's little like Judah, little Judah, Judah, Josiah, what? Judah. What is it? Judah, but he got a middle name.
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay, Judah. Val said I'm saying it wrong. Judah.
No, I was laughing because you said little Judah. I said little Judah. It was the little. It's okay. So, but we appreciate that so much for you all showing up. We got gifts galore, and Val is packing those up to send them off to them, and I know they're going to be really excited about that. my little cousin. That's right. Yeah, you all claimed them
right,
all.
And Auntie Z. Auntie Z, and I think Elena said nephew and stuff like that. So we appreciate you all hanging out with us tonight. I want to say this: keep us in your prayers, and we'll do the same with you all. We enjoyed this evening. We enjoyed doing this. It's so much joy to us. And this is our 12th show, y'all. And we are so excited about that. Yeah, this is our 12th show. Amen. We're so excited about that. And so we're trying to figure out when to end our season and start with the next season. But you'll be looking for things that are up and coming. And we appreciate it. And thank you for the anniversary wishes.
Thank you for the anniversary wishes so much. Yes, we thank God for 25 years.
25 years.
Excited for many more. Thank you all for texting all the things already that have come through in celebration. I'm honored to stand with such a wonderful, incredible man. We share our stories, but his consistency, his love, his patience, his leadership to our entire family has been. And so I'm so grateful to stand next to you.
Amen.
And serve and just give back and do all the wonderful things that we get to do together. So it's an honor and a privilege.
And likewise, I'm glad you're
Likewise.
my co-host.